So today we're back checking out Unleash the Archers. This is Test Your Metal.
Test your metal!
And we made it 18 seconds, and there was an intro, so we really made it about 10 seconds. Twice already. She has given us those big, huge vocal lifts. I don't talk about vocalists a lot. Brittany's one that I do. Hearing a little bit of guitar stuff that's pretty cool. Let's just get those soars. I want those soars one last time. Only thing I guess I just wish she was louder in the mix. It's kind of compressed. It's not a live sound, but she's definitely mixed extremely well. I don't know. It's one of my favorite things in metal, and when singers do those high holds. Okay, there's two things I want to geek out on a little bit here, but I can't do it both at the same time, so I'm going to continue on the Brittany train. The Brittany Choir. Let's go back and check this out. She does a few cool things, but I know you guys explained to me that pretty much all the harmonizations that they do are her on top of each other, or whatever it is. They're all her. They do a very good job in engineering and production. I don't think that's getting talked about enough here, but at the studio level, at the mastering, mixing level, they do a really good job of mixing her harmonies with her at a level where they aren't distracting from the main vocal, but they're extremely complementary. And because they're sang by her, it just feels like one bigger voice, maybe with a little bit of effect on it. But I heard a couple little key things that I want to talk about that she does here that impressed me. Then we're going to talk about the guitars because emotionally I'm hearing a couple of different generations of guitar work here, but I want to see if I can pick up a couple of these things. Listen to the Brittany Choir. If you don't know what the Brittany Choir is, from my understanding is you'll hear a lot of harmonies. Vocal harmonies, and the super fans have let me know that that is all her. That is just multiple layers of her. There's not typically somebody else harmonizing with her, and they just mix it and tuck everything very well. Right there. And I don't know if some of you guys who've listened to these songs hundreds of times just don't hear it anymore, or maybe you don't hear it. It's weird the things I hear. You'd be shocked at what I don't hear. Then I'll go back to a song and later and go, how the hell did I not hear that? But this is what I'm hearing. There's a little vocal slide that happens with her harmony that is so in sync with what she's doing, you could just let it rock you by and not even realize it's happening. You feel it, you know it's there, but you're not paying too much attention to it. It's this little slide up she does. Oh, you really got us your name, but everybody loves you the same. Party don't stop. Hear it? Ow! That's a ridiculously high note, and that's on a harmony just kind of tucked behind the main vocal. Got us your name, but everybody loves you the same. Party don't stop till you walk in the bar and the crowd is waiting on you. As soon as they hear the lights, take flight. Now, for this next part, I believe there's two vocals, her main and her harmonization. Listen, it's not just a small part that's an additive. It's literally part of the entire part of the stanza or whatever it is that they call it. It goes for a lengthy period of time, and it's two vocals just tucked perfectly to, if you're not trying to listen at the level that I'm trying to listen, it just almost seems like one vocal punching through. And that's probably because she does them herself, but they just, between her and her production team, they really know how they want her vocal to sound and how they want those layers to kind of melt you, and they do a really good job at it. But there's not many places to compare, and all those places stay the same. I'm not trying to say this town is lame. Just your guitar. now I'm going to talk about the guitars for a little bit. And for those of you who weren't expecting this much commentary, it's a reaction video, but if this is too much for you and you want to just check out the original, the link is in the description. For those that are here to hear it, you are my people. Getting two different feelings from this song generationally. I'm hearing 80s thrash and metal, and I'm also getting from the guitars also a mix of that kind of metalcore stuff that I really like as well from the late 90s, early 2000s. And just the combination of the vocals, the style, the riffs they're playing, they're almost coming out of like 80s thrash and then moving into some metalcore stuff as they transition from riff part to riff part. And it kind of comes settling in at the end. So you're hearing almost two influences of generations on guitar, but the metalcore influence that's coming out in the guitar is mixing with the classic 80s thrash that is really being represented by the overall sound. And quite frankly, I mean, Britney. I've said this before. You take this band and you drop them into the mid-'80s, I don't think they just compete for a spot amongst the top metal bands. I think they might dominate. So what I want to do is point out what I'm geeking out on in the guitars here that kind of gives you that two different feelings. One is more of the 80s classic thrash riff, then they break it down at the end where they kind of come off that standard riff, and they go into more of a metalcore style riff. That's what I'm listening for. Welcome to the Geek Out. Here we go.
I'm not trying to say this town is late. Trust your motor.
Classic riffs. Metalcore.
Trust your motor.
I'm not saying that didn't happen much back in the 80s, but it just was, presentation-wise, mix style, overall tone, it's definitely influenced by two different generations of metal, and they're fusing together so well. They do this so well.
Trust your motor.
I mean, that's Shadows Fall to me. And see that drum head back there? I've got a whole shadow box I'll show you one day from Shadows Fall. To me, that's just all Shadows Fall, that time period, Killswitch Engage type stuff. They may not be influenced by them at all. I have no clue. That's just what in my reaction and hearing, that's what I'm connecting to. If you're not hearing that, but you're hearing something else and you're connecting to something slightly different, that's okay. It's okay. It's all relative to what's, going on inside your head and what your influences are. But emotionally, taking these two eras of sound and smashing them together is working extremely well for me. And that's what I hear. On with the song.
Trust me when I say to hit the road and escape, and you hear them calling for you. Just trying to take it day by day. Next town ain't so far away. There's a world outside, left side you can ride. I'm not gonna say it again. Now's the only chance you got to ride. Don't let your dreams get away.
I mean, you've got just these big soaring, and I don't mean to time frame reference the 80s so much per se, but if you really want to go to a reference point in music, it's just what I have, and quite frankly, I feel like it's pretty accurate. You just go back to this classic 80s thrash, just beautiful, big, sexy vocal that is laying on top of this metalcore riff. That's what's happening right now. That is what is happening. At least that's what I'm connecting. I'm taking two things and I'm connecting them together, and that's what I get.
Now's the only chance you got to ride. Don't let your dreams get away. Get up, go forth and make them scream. Trust your motor. Trust your motor. Yeah. Come on.
What a fusion. What a damn fusion. They're fusing multiple stuff together, regardless of what you hear, what you don't hear, all that other stuff. What an absolute fusion. Jeez. I just love the two of them together. I mean, there's just enough thrash in it. There's just enough metalcore in it. Britney's vocals keep it constantly attached to one kind of time frame reference. So I'm at least not hearing her slip in and out of decades. And she just delivers so well. The whole band is just right there with it. The fusion of everything they're doing just makes so much sense. And it's not 100% placeable. You can't just stick them into one little box and call them an old school thrash outfit. They're not a metalcore outfit. They're just a combination of tons of different influences. And I'd be curious, outside of the metal world, I'd be curious to find out what kind of influences that they have, because everybody's got outside the metal world influences that are in metal. I listen to a ton of 80s pop. I mean, geez, seriously, we've all got tons of different influences. So I'm kind of curious where, if they're all just, within that metal vein for them, or where a lot of their influences come from. I'm sure some of the super fans out there have seen a lot of interviews with them and stuff like that, and you'll share that information with us. Back it up a little bit, just right quick. And she can give you a little bit of grit, too. She can give you just a little bit of grit when she's up there. And I really like that. There's like 17 seconds left on the video. I'm going to make sure there's not like an Easter egg at the end here. There's not. Okay. Well, you got my talk. Sometimes these videos are just at a point where I do a little bit more at the end. Sometimes I do a little bit more all the way through. For those of you that are still with me, you're probably my people, because sometimes I can get a little long-winded, and I know that, but that's why we're here. Man, what a classic fusion. I'm seeing some other flashback type, like we're playing Jacksons. That Jacksons were really started making a name for themselves. I've got a polka dotted Jackson Dinky Rev back there that was last made in 1994. Last model of that guitar you can ever get was made in 1994. Bought it when I was 18 years old. Ended up pawning it. Found it sitting on a wall of a Guitar Center like 25 years later. There it is. Like, I've got a whole story about that guitar. But anyways, it just, the look, the feel, the classic thrashiness of it. We've got tons of throwback, but tons of modernization, all combined into one nice little fusion. And I've listened to a lot of different vocalists in my life. What I can do is I can give you reference from the channel's perspective. Of all the female-fronted bands that I have started digesting, which I've started digesting tons of them on this channel since I've started doing this. I didn't digest a lot of female-fronted metal before because I just wasn't listening to the right stuff, just to be real honest with you. Of all female-fronted metal that I've heard so far on this channel, man, I am taking a risk at putting this out there, but Britney, she just might be my overall favorite. Doesn't necessarily mean she's the least talented. It has nothing to do with that. It's all just about the feel, the classicness. There's some things she can't do that others, like, for example, Simone Simons and Floor Jansen, are doing for me. Asami, you've got Asami from Love Bites, is just a completely different style, but she's got some high range notes that she can get to that are just absolutely ridiculous. I'll probably change my opinion on this in every video, but man, she's definitely just one of my favorite vocalists of all time at this point. And I've listened to like 3 or 4 of her songs. They just meet my needs. I don't know what to tell you. She's definitely one of my favorite vocalists, especially from a female-fronted perspective. Wow. She just commands. She just commands the entire stage, the entire performance. She just is a great overall performer, and the fusion of the two generations together, of just that kind of classic thrash generation mixed with that newer metalcore generation, and that style of play is just fascinating to me as well. Quickly becoming a favorite band of mine to react to and listen to and discover. So this is fantastic. If you're just coming over here from another video, go check out more of these people. If I think I've only got 3 or 4 songs at the playlist at this point. It might be 2027, and there might be 40 on there by now. I don't know. But go check out the playlist. Original links are always in the description. This was classic, and everything I've heard from them at this point in time is this same type of fusion. It just gives you kind of a throwback, but a modern style that just absolutely tickles you, especially if you're really into that old school thrash metal stuff like I am. For those of you in the Unleash the Archers family, this was fun. I'll be doing more. Stay ready. And I once again thank you for having me.